Hello again and welcome back. I'm Diane Deziel, and today I'm completing with you the coat project pattern. We'll do the sleeve, the lining, the mitered corner, and we'll put the fusing on all the pattern piece where we need it. Now to add the mitered corner and the opening, the little slit on the sleeve, on the Tailor sleeve, today I'm just going to modify my pattern so I could use it for my coat project. So you're going to add a little piece of paper for an extension on both pieces on the back side, so where you have the double notch. Now the size of that slit is usually the same thing that you put for your hem. Here I had a 4 centimeter hem, so from the inside line I'm going to trace a parallel line at 4 centimeter. The length of that extension is up to you for sure. It's a matter of style. It's usually below the elbow level. And if you're using the notch that you already have as your highest point, you could just do a point the shape that you like. For this one, I'm going to guide you by doing a 90-degree line 4 centimeter below that notch and connect both reference points. So I could do the same thing on my small piece, 4 centimeter down and connect. Now we'll start with the big piece. I just want you to go and elongate the hemline and then cut all around the extension. I'm going to show you here. It's on the big piece only. It's right there. The seam is diagonal. It's just an angle at the corner, while the small piece is going to have a normal hem just sewn at the edge. To do it or to get it on your pattern, you're going to fold both lines. So the normal hem and the extension we just did at the seam line. Now you're going to connect the inside intersection with the outside intersection. Then trace with your tracing wheel. Now I unfold and I'm going to just continue this line that you traced to get it on the other side. And what we're missing is only a seam allowance going towards the point, just like that. And we cut the extra piece. And when you will sew the corner, you could see the new seam line that won't affect the thickness of the bottom or the slit. Now for the small piece, just elongate the hem that you already have at the bottom. Then you could cut the bottom line. And before to cut the rest of your shape, just fold your hem so you'll get your jog in the same time. Now let's put the information on these pieces. They're both going to be cut 2 times in self fabric. And we need to put the hem notch that I didn't do. So only on one side of the big piece, both sides of the small piece. Now let's do all the notch. Now we're ready to do the sleeve lining. So you're going to retrace both pieces, but without the extension. I usually put a pin or two to make sure that nothing moves. Now I will do just the same thing with the big piece. I will fold my little extension at the seam, keeping just the seam allowance, and trace all around. Now for this one, since I cut the corner, I'm just going to retrace the bottom part of the hem. And for both sleeves, I'm going to trace to indicate the grain line. Now you could remove your pattern and trace the grain line. These 2 pieces are lining and they're going to be cut 2 times. The only thing that we have left to do is shortening the bottom part just like we did for both back and front lining. So you go up 3 centimeter and you place your notches at 2.5 higher. Same thing on the small piece. Of course, the original notches for the hem, we're not going to use them. Now the lining piece for the sleeve are done, so we just have to cut all around both pieces. Now before to say it's complete, we have to do all notches. Now that the sleeve lining pattern are finished, we're going to put the fusable on all the pattern piece of the self fabric. I will start with my sleeve, that we need to put fusable on the sleeve head and armhole, also on the little slit or extension and at the hem. We trace more or less 7-8 centimeter parallel to the sleeve head, so just like that. If it was for production, I would do a pattern piece, but since it's only to do one time, I'm going to simply indicate it on the pattern like that. So when I do my fusing, I know I have to do fusing for that part, but I could cut it right away. With the same idea, I'm going to put my sleeve the way they're going to be sewn, so my double notch together, and just more or less continue the same line that I had from the top part. You could see over here and over there. I'm going to retrace that line on the good side of my pattern and indicate it just like that. Now about the bottom and the slit of the sleeve, you have to do the fusable on the hemline and go a little bit over the fold line. So your crease that you will press, they're gonna remain like that even after you wear it. So at least a centimeter higher than the fold line, and also for the slit. So all that area is going to be fused. Same thing for the small piece. Now I put my sleeve away and I take my back pattern. So the facing, we already put the indication for the fusing. And this piece is my lining. On the main pattern piece of the back, we're going to put fusable on all the top part. So again, to make sure that your garment is going to keep the shape. So you could do pretty much at the 1/4 of the back or halfway to the armhole, and go like that until about 6 or 7 centimeter below your underarm point. And all this area is going to be fused also. Now I go a little bit more down. The pocket opening is going to need fusable also. So you could do it just like that. That means this area will be fused. So when you do press your pocket opening, it's going to be very stable, and even if you stretch it with your hands, it's still going to keep the shape. The last area on the back is going to be also the hem. So the hem has to be fused plus about 1 centimeter. So that means this section has to be fused. Now if I take my front pattern piece, of course, the lining is finished. My facing is also finished. And if you remember, I said to cut 4 fusing with the facing shape, 2 to use on the facing, and 2 that you'll use on your front. Now, just like the back, we also need to fuse the armhole area. So you could just trace from the facing line to underarm, pretty much 7 or 8 centimeter, and you're going to need to do another fusing area to make your armhole strong. Then just like we did on the back, the pocket extension need fusable just like that. You could say this is about 7 centimeter wide. And also like the back, you're going to fuse the hem area. about a centimeter higher than the final length. And for this pattern piece, I forgot to do it with my front video, but now to make sure that the pattern is really completed, I'm going to ask you to empty the corner. If I place my front facing over my front pattern, just like that, you're going to see that they're not the same length. The main piece has a hem and the facing has only a seam allowance. It is possible to sew it like that, but since you might have seen my video on the sewing already, you saw for sure that my corner is completely empty. So the way I did it is just trace the same length as your facing on your main piece. Then from the end of the facing, you're going to come back 2 centimeters towards the center. This part, we're going to cut it off. And I promise you will see why I'm doing that, how easy it is for the sewing, and how nice will be your corner without all the thickness. Now I'll just redo my notch on the move line. Now with all these pieces, you completed your coat pattern. That's it for today. I hope you enjoy. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I see you next time.